I come to a place where it's buzzing out. I'm going to do a fret level on it. To do that... Oh, snap! So,
man, I don't know what to say.
You don't need to say anything.
Oh my goodness, that is gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Wow, that is beautiful.
If you'd like to follow the process of turning a block of wood like this into a guitar like this, then you've come to the right place. And if you would like to see me give this guitar away, click subscribe, hit the bell. Not one, not two, but 3 Hannah Montana pocket amplifiers. Well, so you think I ought to stay away from making music videos? I think you're right. I now have one coat, one layer of the diamond clear coat over top of the shellac and zero coaty. So now it's just a matter of going to be sanding this with 800 grit sandpaper and then give it a few more coats. So let's just jump ahead to when this is done. So do you want to see it? Oh yeah, isn't that awesome? You'll see it soon enough. Really good news, we're on our way to Milwaukee. Well, not yet. Right now I'm still sitting in my basement. I got the screw that I needed to finish off my bridge for this guitar. Let's flash back and see what I've been doing for this last week to catch up to get this thing ready to go. I've got my headstock redone, but what that did allow me to do was I now have the gold leaf on there, as Woody was hoping that we could put on. So we've got that taken care of. I've got the truss rod cover over in Sioux Falls getting engraved. So an engraver is putting the name Mystique on the truss rod covers. And then hopefully we're going to get this pretty well put together and knocked out by the end of today. And by the end of this video, my hope is we'll be on our way to Milwaukee. On the original Cloud guitars, this button was back in here. And what I have found that for any of us who do not have a concaved belly, in other words, if your belly is rounded at all, the guitar will have a tendency to tip forward. So I started putting them up here on the horn, just on this edge. I was going for kind of more of a strong point there. Although it's a very strong horn, Mr. X gave me the suggestion that I consider following Ken Parker's direction. That is to put the button between the 12th and the 13th fret, which would be right in here. And the reason for that is for the balance of the guitar. Ken Parker put that there between the 12th, 13th fret on the Parker Fly. And so it was suggested that I consider putting them there, which means I would put the button in kind of at backwards angle here, which would be a very good spot for the button to go. So I am going to do that now here on Woody's, and one of the reasons why is that Woody also has one of the original Parker Flies. Take a hint from Ken Parker on balancing the guitar between the 12th and 13th fret. The other benefit to putting it a little bit further over, so that just gives a little bit more space for that to come around as opposed to coming in really tight here. Prince's guitars, from his strap buttons, they were probably only about maybe 13 and a half, 14 inches wide. So this gives us a gap of actually 17 and a half wide. So just to help make it a little bit more comfortable for us. I've got the nut, so it's pretty much right where I want that to be. As I've worked down the frets, I come to a place where it's buzzing out, and I am finding that 3, 5, 14, and 17 are just a little bit high doing the rocker method. I'm going to do a fret level on it. Before I do any fret leveling, I need to make sure that my fretboard itself is absolutely flat, and that's by adjusting the truss rod. There is a very special ruler with cutouts for all of your frets. I ought to get one of those. Haven't got one of those, but I'm going to make one today. Yes, I should buy one, but I don't have time. I need to get this done. Made marks where all my frets need to go. I'll use this drill bit, which is a 5/16, which should give me plenty of a gap there. Might not be as pretty as StewMac, but it's going to function the same. I just have to sand off a few little burrs on each side. Now I'm not going to sand the top or this bottom part. That's going to be my level. That's got to stay level. I'll set it on again, and you will see down underneath here there is a gap. I'll put my flashlight on, and maybe that'll help you to see it even more here. Hey, Paul Dalen, you're interrupting my shot right now. But since I know you're watching, you'll see that. Now we go over top of each fret with a marker so we can see when each fret is cleaned of that, then you know you've sanded them level. You can use just kind of a nice flat bar, something like this, or a little block. Because I've got a compound radius, I'm actually going to use my compound radius blocks for doing this. Now going through the process of crowning these frets after I've leveled the frets. I do have a crowning file on order, but I don't have one yet. But I'll just do them the way I've been doing them, and that's to just kind of angle up with the files. Got a few different files to use here. This one's a little more coarse, and then this one's a little finer, and then I do the rest by hand using sandpaper. I got the blue tape down, and then I put the green tape along the one that I'm working on, one that helps me to see exactly where I'm working, but also it adds an extra layer of thickness so that I don't scratch through the tape, because if I see blue coming through the green, then I know I'm through one layer and I need to change tape so that I don't damage the fretboard itself. It's much quicker if you have a crowning file than what I'm doing. Once I've used the file, I start with a 400 grit sandpaper, and I kind of work the crown, work it at an angle to crown it. I've been going with 800 after the 400. These actually sand a little quicker and easier than what you might think they would, so you don't want to take too much off either. Gotten these three polished up with up to 2000 grit sandpaper. I'll still do 3000, and then I need to buff them as well. 6:30 the next morning. I got 11 frets done last night. I'm gonna try and knock out just a couple more before I head off to work here this morning. Crowning just takes a lot more time when you don't have the crowning file. Essentially, I'm using the file to round up the top, and then I will use sandpaper to kind of finish that off. Well, some really great news, guys. I am on the last fret here as I've been working my way up to this fret, this first fret. We're getting so much closer. It is now 5 p.m. Last you saw me, I started at 6:30 this morning. But the really good things, I got a message from Advanced Plating down in Portland, Tennessee. and they are sending me a gold-plated screw that I need for that Schaller bridge. It's a very specific screw. If you watch my last videos, you've seen my frustration and anxiety over making sure I had that screw. They're impossible, almost impossible to get, but we got one. It wasn't cheap for advanced plating. It cost them about $300 for this, getting the screw replacement. However, that's with another whole bridge, and they're just gonna use that bridge for parts. At this point, it's looking pretty good that I should be heading to Milwaukee on Sunday evening, and then I'll be there on Monday. I'll see both Woody and Pierre, Mr. Untouchable Lee. I redid a backplate for him. All right, I've got them all crowned and sanded 2000 grit. Before I do the final polishing though, I am just going to do the rocker test on these. And essentially a rocker test is only using 3 at a time, using 3 frets and seeing like there's no rock there, no rock, making sure they're level.
Down in Louisiana, where the tall
So you know we got a really glossy finish on this, but if you look at the neck itself, if I tip this down a little bit, it's got a finish on it, but then I sand this to usually right around a 2000 grit, and I leave it at that, and I don't polish it. So it's a personal preference thing. If I have a customer or somebody that wants this glossy, I'll make it glossy for them, but I just so much prefer not having this glossy, but having it matte so that my hand slides a little better. I need all the help I can get when it comes to playing guitar. I'm going to start off with these DR Dimebag strings, which are my favorite strings. I'm putting these on just to start setting it up. These are a 9 to a 46, and that's almost the same gauge as what Woody's are going to be, but we're going to put those Optima Brian May gold strings on, and then he's going to use the 9 to 42 string, but the 9, which would be your high E string, instead of using the 9, he is having an 8. So we ordered single 8s for that because he wants the high E to be an 8. So we're going actually 8 to 42, but it's mostly a 9 to 42 gauge.
Yes, you do.
I always have a little debate with myself when it comes to this point as to whether I let you hear the very first sounds with me, but I might as well. The reason why I battle it is it's not set up. I don't even have it tuned yet, so I'll have to tune it up first, but untuned, first sounds. Okay, that one's got to, wow, I've got to adjust it all yet, so I'm just in the process of getting it strung up and adjusted, but those are the very first sounds. You're hearing them with me. All right, I have got it strung up and it's playing. I haven't intonated it yet. So a couple of issues here. The only time that you can put it out of phase is when you've got both pickups playing, and then there's in phase, there's out of phase. And when it is out of phase, it will go quieter. But the thing that I'm not quite getting here at this point is that my neck pickup is quite a bit louder than what my bridge pickup is, and the bridge pickup is closer to the strings than what the neck pickup is. Now, EMGs are made to be close to the strings, but I'm not quite sure why it's that much quieter. I'm going to do a little more reading of the instructions. Maybe I need to change something around. I'm going to swap out, instead of putting the phase switch on the bridge pickup, I'm going to put the phase switch on the neck pickup and see what difference that will make. I put the phase switch on the single coil and not on the humbucker, difference, or maybe even quieter on the bridge now. Why is that? Okay, well that might have been my error. There was one cable that wasn't plugged in. So let's see here now. Much better. Better. All right. Well, hey guys, guess what? It's 4:55 p.m. and I am just pulling out of my little town in southwest Minnesota, and we are now headed to Milwaukee. I will drive probably to the Wisconsin Dells tonight, which is about 6 hours from here. There's like some cheaper hotel stays. I can be cheap when it comes to staying places, especially when it's by myself. Like if I'm with my family, then I want a little bit, especially with my wife, I want it to be a little nicer. With me, just alone. In fact, I even got bedding in the back so that I can sleep in the back if I need to. But probably gonna stay in Wisconsin Dells tonight, and then that'll put me at Woody's in Milwaukee at noon tomorrow. The interesting thing is, well, let's just jump to the hotel room here because I'm still not quite done with the guitar. I've got to finish a couple things on the way there. Oh, snap!